Nike. One of my favorite brands, but will it also be one of my favorite stocks? Nike has come down roughly 30% in stock price year to date, so the valuation is really interesting right now. Also because Nike is presenting quarterly results on the 21st of March. All the reason to do a fundamental analysis about Nike stock. In this video I will show you everything you need to know about Nike. I will check the investor presentation, 10K file, fact sheet information, dividends, and in the last part I will tell you if I will buy Nike or not. My name is Thomas and this is Thomas Invest. I'm an investor looking for great stock at great prices. Please subscribe to join the community and to receive multiple analysis every week, where I will tell you everything you need to know about these companies. Nike is a global company that designs, develops and sells athletic footwear, apparel, equipment, accessories and services. Although primarily designed for athletic use, many of its products are worn for casual or leisure activities. The main categories are sportswear, running, Jordan brand, training, football or soccer, and basketball and other. In this chart we see the revenue per category per year. In 2020 there was a small decline because of the coronavirus, but since 2021 the revenue is growing again in every category. Sportswear is the biggest category and basketball and football clothing are the smallest. We also see that sportswear and Jordan made the biggest growth compared to 2020. These product categories can be divided into three product segments: apparel, footwear and equipment. In this chart we see that in 2021 footwear is the biggest product segment with 66%, apparel 31% and equipment just at 3%. As mentioned before, Nike is a global company, meaning they sell their products in the whole wide world. In this graph we see the revenue worldwide from 2017 to 2021 by region. North America is the biggest, followed by Europe, Middle East and Africa. Greater China is on the third place but made a big jump from 2020 to 2021. The same goes for the US market. In 2021 they did grow a lot compared to 2020, which was a decline because of the coronavirus. Nike has three sales channels: sales to wholesale customers, through Nike direct sales, and global brand divisions. In this graph we see that wholesale customers are the biggest, but Nike did change a lot. They are selling more and more products through direct sales. This means that Nike made a decision to focus on their own sales channel and not necessarily on other stores, brands or websites through wholesale. When Nike is selling more and more directly to the customer, the margin will eventually go up, meaning Nike will earn more money in the future if this trend continues. This graph also confirms that Nike cuts the middleman. Direct-to-consumer sales is increasing every year and right now represents almost 39% of the total revenue, and back in 2010 only 15%. In terms of dollars, back in 2010, direct sales was representing 2.5 billion. In 2021 it represented 16.4 billion. Another great thing is that Nike is more and more switching to online, and as mentioned a second ago, to their own website. This enables them to close more retail stores worldwide, as we see in this chart. Since 2018 they are closing stores and it's highly likely this trend will continue. When they close more and more stores and are shifting to their online sales channels, the margin will also go up because they don't have to pay for the store and all the employees. So this is also something which is really nice. If we check some competitors, we see that Nike is the biggest company in terms of sales. On the second place we see Adidas, but they are significantly smaller compared to Nike. Third spot is for Puma, also significantly smaller. In this graph we see the annual revenue of the three biggest companies: Nike, Adidas and Puma, per year. Ever since 2010 Nike is going up really nice and steady. Adidas is also going up, but not as steady as Nike did. From 2014 Adidas grew a lot to 2017. But ever since 2017, Adidas stayed flat. Puma is also growing, but not in the same way as Nike. Now that we know everything about the business and competitors of Nike, it's time to check the historical performance of the stock price. After that part is covered, we will dive in the fundamentals to see if Nike is a buy right now. If we check the 5-year chart, we see that Nike made a decent growth in stock price and went down in 2020 because of the coronavirus. Since then, it climbed all the way up to almost $180 a share in November 2021. Since then, the stock came down a lot. In this 1 year chart, we see that Nike has come down roughly 30% since their all-time high in November. This is a huge decline, but not because of fundamentals, but because of all other things that are happening in the market. If we check the year-to-date chart, we see that Nike has come down roughly 28% and did climb a little bit in the last couple of days. If we compare it to the S&P 500, there's a huge difference. The S&P 500 did come down roughly 13% compared to Nike's 28%. All the reason to pay attention to the fundamentals, which is what we are going to do right now. So Nike is a 290 billion market cap company with an enterprise value of 217 billion. They are the largest company compared to the direct competitors, and they are in the top 35 largest company by market cap in the US. Nike has a PE ratio of 36 right now and a forward PE ratio of 29. The PE ratio is likely to go down a little bit more if the earnings will go up and if the stock price will go down a little bit more. I think for a company like Nike and all the things we saw earlier in this video, I think the PE ratio is acceptable at 25 to 28 for me. This is a premium, but we saw they are changing the business with direct sales and trying to increase the margin. So it has come down a little bit more in stock price for me, but I pay close attention to this company, especially because of the earnings which they will release on the 21st of March. Since we are talking about margin anyway, Nike has a profit margin of 13% and an operating margin of 16%. Both are above the 10% minimum and also increasing every year, so this comforts me a lot. The return on assets is at 12%, which is also above the minimum of 10%, and the same goes for return on equity, sitting at 48%. In this chart we see the revenue per quarter and per year for Nike. It's going up very nice and steady, so this comforts me a lot. There was a small decline in 2020 because of the coronavirus, but ever since then the revenue went up really nice and steady again. If we check the EPS per quarter and year, we also see that's increasing very nice and steady with some declines back in 2018 and back in 2020. But right now it's growing again. This means they earn more revenue, which attracts investors in general. Nike has a total cash of 15 billion and a total debt of 12 billion. So the debt is at a really low level compared to the total cash and free cash flow. Right now, Nike has a current ratio of 3, which is also very nice for this type of company. The operating cash flow is sitting at 7 billion and free cash flow is sitting at 4.68 billion. All these numbers are looking good to me. It's really important for a company to have an increasing free cash flow every year because free cash flow is used by companies to pay down debt, buy back shares, do acquisitions, pay dividends and all other kind of things. We already see that the debt of Nike is at a healthy level, and in this chart we see that they buy back a lot of shares. For me, this is one of the more important things for this type of company. When they buy back shares, the EPS will go up and this will attract other investors. When there are less shares available, the stock price will go up because of the bid and ask ratio. Another great thing with buying back shares is that when there are less shares outstanding, there are less shares receiving dividends. This means the total amount of dividend that is paid will go down as well, or more easily to manage or increase. So Nike pays this adorable dividend of almost 1% dividend yield, sitting at $1.22 a year. The payout ratio is sitting at almost 30%, which is fine by me. The 5-year growth rate is sitting at 11%, which is also fine by me. To be honest, it isn't a lot, but when it's increasing steady, I'm happy. They grew the dividends for 20 years in a row, which is also very nice. If we check the dividend history, we see that since 2013 the dividend has tripled, going from 10 cents per quarter all the way up to 30 cents per quarter in 2020. So for me that's a really impressive statistic. As mentioned before, Nike will present the quarterly results on the 21st of March. Analysts are expecting an EPS of $0.71 and a total revenue of 10.6 billion. In the last 90 days, 7 analysts are positive and 14 analysts are negative. If we check the historical earnings, we see that Nike has mixed results. So I'm looking forward to the earnings to see what happened and especially what will happen with the stock price. Earlier this year, we saw that companies who were presenting bad results went down big time, and companies who present positive results went up big time. So I'm really looking forward to it. My conclusion is that I simply love the Nike brand, but the company is something else. I think this is a really interesting company, but to be at the justified valuation, the stock price have to come down just a little bit more. We saw that by changing the sales channels, Nike is going to focus on direct sales, which satisfies me a lot, because the profit margin will go up because of it. We also see that revenue and EPS are increasing very nice and steady, so they do a good job there. Nike is also buying back shares and has a low debt compared to the total cash and free cash flow. Nike also pays dividends, which are growing every year. So that's also a nice thing, and it's very healthy right now in terms of payout ratio. Bottom line, I think this is a really interesting company and I will definitely buy this stock when it comes down just a little bit more. So I will wait to see what is going to happen after the earnings. I think this is a really interesting week for Nike, so for now I'm almost at a buy sign and I will wait just a little bit longer. But remember to always do your own research and never fully trust on what I or other YouTubers say about the stock. I'm not a financial advisor and this content is just for entertaining purposes only. I hope you liked this video and I did bring some insights of the company to you. I would really appreciate a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to get notified when I'm posting a new video. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video.